the exaggeration of you need add-ons to play WoW raids is just very, very, like, it's so overblown. It's so overblown. It's one of those things where, like, yes, they exist, so it makes sense to use them, but I don't use stuff. Like, I don't use a bunch of add-ons to play WoW, and yet I'll do mythic raiding. Even some of those bosses like Echo of Neltharion, is I don't use the weak auras. I just learn the positions. Because what's quicker? Me already anticipating, knowing where I need to go, or waiting for the weak aura to tell me and then reacting to the weak aura? If you get practice time on a boss and start to develop the know-how of where to go, then you're already gonna anticipate, right, if I get this marker, I need to go here. If I get that marker, I need to go there. Okay, I'm preset. THD put out a really good tweet, right? Like, the reason why it's just a little bit different... Here, one sec. The reason why it's, like, a little bit different with WoW is because this is what WoW looks like, right? So this is Lost Ark, okay? This is Lost Ark telegraphing. Very, very similar to Final Fantasy. Big, bright, very, you know, luminescent things. This is World of Warcraft. Now, can you guys just immediately look at this and tell me what this is? Like, what are they trying to do here? I mean, you have some clue, right? But what you can see is you can see red dashing lines. You know what that is? It's laser spam, yeah. But it's, if you look, I mean, this person's screen is deceptively dark. I will say that for now. But it's a dark floor with a deep red with dark black, like, highlights. It's dark red on dark. And then on top of that, something that you won't actually see. See these darker patches here? That is an additional mechanic. Those are things where you have to dodge swirlies that spawn at your feet. So you have to constantly, like, dodge. And they overlap. So if you're trying to dodge this line, and then on top of it you have these, then you have deep dark red with black on top of dark red line on top of dark floor. So it becomes, to the human eye, it all kind of just like... And you cannot play this with a weak aura. So you actually have to... It's like, having a weak aura, having DBM for this is completely pointless. So whenever you go, oh, you need add-ons. No, add-ons is, like, not the issue here. The issue is poor telegraphing. There's more, look, you can see more swirlies here, here, here. And when you start to get visuals happening from people's spell effects, you can no longer see these things very well. But there's one here, there's one there. So, this is what you're dealing with WoW, comparable to this. Very easy, you'd be able to see, you know, here's a character here, here's a character here, here's a character here, and then there's the mechanic. So you can kind of see that. This is another one, this is Halondrous. So you have white swirlies with a yellow, like, you know, yellow... I mean, this is quite good because this is quite bright, but the bomb itself is dark. And then you have white swirlies. I hate this design for WoW. I absolutely detest these swirlies because what you don't realize is that these swirlies, the effect, the animation, sort of ends, right? Like, it ends here. But it still technically will hit you here. So you have to imagine where the remainder of the swirl is. Like, sometimes it's a very, very faint, like... So, this person, I believe, is technically in this swirl right now. Even though it doesn't really look like they are, I think they are technically in this. And it's, like, really shit to have to work with that. But this is Razageth, the last boss. And you have just, like, blue circles, and it's just like, you can't see anything. How are you supposed to see what the shit's going on at your feet? And, look, this is a wing. So this is the boss's wing. And if you are under the boss's wing like Dirt Lord is, if there is a swirly that spawns underneath you, you can't see it. I actually remember progging this boss. I died to pretty much that exact thing. Yeah, and if your assigned position is under the wing, then you just can't see. But people, and this isn't like criticize, it's just, it's so funny to me. A lot of like people who have not played WoW coming in and going like, oh yeah, but the add-on tells you, right? The add-on just plays it for you. There's no add-on that fixes this for you. You have to use your eyes. Do you guys understand what add-ons actually do in WoW? Because I feel like there's a big misunderstanding with what add-ons are actually doing. Add-ons are definitely something which helps you in combat, and yeah, the add-on might tell you like move, but that's all it will tell you. It doesn't really exactly like tell you anything. It won't like tell you anything else. It'll just say like, oh, move. Or it'll say like frontal on you. So when there's 20 mobs stacked up, it'll tell you if a mob's casting a frontal at you and you can move out the way. Yeah, add-ons are absolutely an issue. They're causing an arms race between the raids, right? Like between the raid designers and the players. Absolutely. But it's about understanding what, like, where the issue is. WoW raiding is not 8 players. It's 20 players on Mythic. Sometimes it's 30 if you're in Heroic. But it's 20 players. You can't do a clockwise markers and go, oh, okay, everyone just pre-assign. Oh, yeah, you're going to 1, you're going to 2. Yeah, melee 1-on-1, melee 2-on-2. That's not how, it's just like, you need to understand how these games are designed differently to understand why the Final Fantasy method, where you don't need add-ons, does not work in WoW. So you'd have to, and like, depending on your group comp, which might change a lot, like, you might have 7 melee, you might have 13 melee, like, I mean, hope to God you don't. But there's a lot of variables in how that will work. Whereas in FF, it'll be 2 tanks, 2 healers, and then 4 DPS. Normally 2 melee, 2 range. So you can go melee 1, melee 2, range 1, range 2, healer 1, healer 2. It's very easy. You have 2 group stacks. Okay, we have group 1, we have group 2. Very easy. 4 players in each. Yada, yada, yada. Zing, zang, zom. WoW can't work like that. There's 20 players. You need a better level of coordination, and the way it works in WoW is, yes, there are add-ons, but the way the developers counter the fact that there are add-ons is that they don't give you time to react to things. They reduce your natural reaction time. In WoW, it used to be you had way longer to react to mechanics, but they don't do that anymore. They make things quite quick for you to have to react to because they know you're going to be using add-ons. Feels like that add-ons place for you example. Mechanic where do I have to think to move left or right? The add-on will tell you that's no fun. Okay, so an example of that is the dance in Castle Nathria. So everyone's stacked up, okay? And then what's going to happen is everyone's going to get hit with a debuff. Some people have to move right and stay as a group and move right and move around in a circle. And other people need to move out the way. So you have 20 people stacked on a dime, okay? Stack up for recital, okay? Then ready? So you get a right marker here. So this arrow, ignore everything else on the screen. This arrow is going to tell you to move to the right, okay? And so you have a bunch of people moving around. They have to shuffle around, shuffle around, shuffle around. And everyone else has to get out the way. How do you do this mechanic with 20 players without this? I'm not arguing that add-ons aren't a problem in WoW and that they don't make a lot of things a lot easier for you. But WoW is designed to respond to that, and also there's 20 players and it's not as like you can't pre-assign things the same way you can in FF. So add-ons can actually be very, very helpful in WoW. You understand that Blizzard have designed raid fights to have add-ons in now. So if they removed add-ons, they'd have to really tone down the difficulty of the fights. Like, people say, oh, the add-ons play the fight for you. Okay, the fights are really complex, though. So if they did remove all the add-ons, you wouldn't be able to do half these bosses anymore. Queen Ashara is one of the most disgusting fights I've ever seen. You downright would not be able to do it without add-on. This is probably the hardest fight I've ever done. Even with weak auras. I just want to talk to you a little bit about this fight, okay? I just want to show you a little bit about this fight. Because as soon as you look at this fight, you go, ah, I sort of understand why add-ons exist, okay? Looks as hectic as ultimates? No. Hold on. Just wait. I'm not going to say this is more difficult than ultimates. Like, I don't care about the comparison of that, but what I'm talking about is this fight is designed for weak auras, okay? And I'll tell you why. Okay, so we killed those 2 mini-ads. Now we summon the boss. Everybody stacks up here. And this is why. See what people are doing? No? You have no clue, do you? You know why? Because nobody knows. Nobody knows, okay? Right, so what everyone does is they kill the 2 ads. What happens is they all need to stack up on a dime, like on a pin, okay? There are 5 or 6, there's something like that. There's like 5 or 6, several variants of a mechanic that you're going to get. One of them, you need to be not near anyone. One of them, you need to constantly move. And you can have multiple people with that. And if you don't all move at the same time, then you cleave people with the shit that you drop down on the floor. There was another one where you have to go and soak an arcane orb. There's another one where you can't soak an arcane orb. There's one where you have to, one where you have to stand still, one where you have to keep moving. And every single time you do this encounter, it's different. So 3 times, you might be stand still. And then the next time, you might be run around in the circle. And then the next one, you might be soak the arcane orb, right? And you have to coordinate this with 20 people, right? So what happens? So they all spawn. This weak aura tells you forward and AFK. So move forward and stand still. Oh, there was another one. You have to stay within like a certain distance of other people. So you have to move as a slight spread. So there's like 3 people that are going to be in this situation that are the same. They're not allowed to move. You have a very small window where you're allowed to like defy the weak aura for like a couple seconds, and then you have to switch on. Something like that. Or you have to defy the mechanic, I should say. So you have to group up, not soak an arcane orb. You have to stand still, and you have to move slightly forward, right? So trying to calculate that, like the weak or the mechanic occurs, you have no time to read what you have to do to like hover over. Okay, what does this do? Okay, what does this? These are debuffs, by the way, where my mouse is. Okay, what does this debuff do? What does this debuff do? What does this debuff do? Oh, okay, right. I think I know where I have to go. Okay, where do I need to go stack for that? No. You don't have time. You just have to respond immediately. So Gingy moves slightly forward, AFKs. You can see there's another person here that has to do the same, and another person here that has to do the same. But they're not allowed to soak the orb, and there's going to be an orb in the middle, which is what they're trying to avoid soaking. So you can see Gingy is just outside. And look at how many of these things. So you have glowy white purple animation with glowy white purple animation. These are all, there's like 4 different animations in this, by the way, and they all look exactly the same. So you can see these guys here are in the soak an orb, but constantly keep moving. That's what these guys are in. I think they have to be grouped up, because there's also a keep moving, but don't soak and don't be in a group. So there's a bunch of different variations on how you have to, look, follow. So you have somebody there with a weak aura just blasting follow, 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 so that they can follow each other. These people are 3. So there's this little purple ring. When they got the mechanic initially, this was registered on each of these 3 players. They are not allowed to leave that circle. If they do, they die. So this is where the move forward but AFK, don't soak comes in. That's what this means. Move forward from your circle, because you can't overlap each other. If you overlap each other with these circles, then you'll die. There's like 8 different scenarios that you can get, plus the orbs need to be soaked as well. So here we go in real time. So this person goes soaks an orb, these people follow, these people spread, AFK, can't move. This more things getting soaked. These guys moving around, they can't stack with each other, but they have to keep moving. They can't stay still. Yeah. So there's like all this shit. So everyone has to just adapt immediately, because you need to soak all those orbs as well at the same time. So there's like an extra mechanic layered on top of it. Yeah, so FF does a similar thing, but just gives you more time to react. Exactly. And this is the arms, like, this is what's happening with add-ons. This is where the arms race is. The information is there, the information is accessible, but what Blizzard does is they know that you're going to have the weak aura telling you where to go, so they counteract that by giving you less time to react. So that's how it's designed. Whereas in Final Fantasy, you have more time to react, but you have to use your brain. So what the add-on is doing is reducing your mental kind of identify something, interpret it in your brain, and then execute a reaction to that. It takes time, right? And the more gates you have to go through, the more channels your brain has to process, the slower you're going to react. But what I hate about this is that this fight is really frustrating, because even with the weak aura and the add-ons, the average player still really struggles with that. Just that overlap here, this can easily take you 50 to 100 wipes. Like, I'm not kidding. This boss, when I did it with a guild, I was in a World Top 1000 guild, it took us, we had like 400 or 500 pulls on this boss. I'm not like trying to compare the difficulty between WoW and FF. I'm just trying to show, like, there are fights where like add-ons and weak auras, like, they're designed for you to have the add-on and weak aura, and even with the add-on and the weak aura, it's still really hard